What's up, guys? So I sold my big cab over project to another family. He's going to finish it. This is my new ambulance. I'm going to do a camper conversion on it. As you can see, all the lights and stuff are all still intact, which is pretty awesome. I had one before. The one I had before, it had all been disabled as far as lights, sirens. All of it is still on here. This thing is a E350. It's a single wheel version. I had a dually a couple years ago. I sold it, a lot of it, because of the fuel mileage. Fuel mileage on it was horrible. The dualies are a little bit longer. I've been looking at a dually. It's 2 feet longer and 1 foot wider than what this is, but I'm going to do a 4-wheel drive conversion on it. I've already got the front axle. Just got to get it put in. And then going to do a camper conversion on the inside. Some of these lights I'll probably take off. I'd like to put a regular hood on it. Take the hood lights. Take the hood lights off. Get the right key. We'll look at the cockpit first. Up here is just normal standard ambulance stuff, all the controls. I'm gonna go ahead and shut all the lights off. Here's the siren. Yeah, she's all still there. Just regular ambulance cockpit up front, back in 1994. Had the windows tinted on it yesterday. One of my buddies did that for me. I'm going to be taking out most of this wall behind the seats. That way when the wife and kids, or just kids, or whoever's sitting in the back, that way they'll actually be able to see out. I had a van that I converted a couple years ago. I sold it last year. I kind of wish I'd have kept it, but I wanted something with a little bit more room, so I sold it and then started that big Isuzu build that I had. So here's the big compartment door on the driver's side. This is where our oxygen tank would be. This is where I'm going to put my lithium battery, my solar charger. It's going to have, or DC to DC charger. It's going to have solar up on the roof. I've got 200 watts of solar for it. Down here is just a regular truck batteries or van batteries. The Go Treads. Those things come in handy. Mainly what I've used them for is for leveling out my different vans, my different vehicles. They work great for that. They work great for recovery too. Kind of like any other traction device. As long as you're not too bad stuck, you can get out. If you're bad stuck, better hope you got a winch. And here's a pass-through. Just it goes inside. That's where the oxygen tank stuff was. I hope to put some of the water system in there as well. The inside, it's all still just ambulance. No gurney, of course. One nice thing about these things, you open both them doors and you've got a big area. I want to keep it to where that I can still use part of this for hauling objects. I've saw some builds where they'll turn this area here kind of into a bathroom almost. They'll have their porta potty down here, and they can slide out and do stuff with it. I'm not real sure what I'm gonna do there. Like these cabinets here, I may end up taking these out and then leaving the front section up there where the electronics is, to where I can put I'd almost kind of like to put a bed across back here in the back and then a bench in front of it. But like I said, I'd kind of like to have it to where that the main part is still open. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet. The cabinets up here for the wall. Another great big huge door. These things have quite a bit of room. This cabinet here. Bad part is I can't fully stand up in here by any means. I'm like 6'1". My shoulders touch the ceiling, which kind of stinks. But hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna end up putting a sink over here. There's a control panel. Let's say this cabinet here over to here, I'm gonna leave. I may reconfigure it just a little bit, but all the electronics are up here. And I really don't want to deal with all that wiring, especially right now. Another wiring cabinet. And then here's the factory AC system, heat and air for back here in the back. I'm going to leave all that intact. And I am going to take out and redo a lot of this cabinet here, along with the seat there. I'm going to take out. Now I've got a Snowmaster fridge that I'm going to be putting pretty much right here inside the door. That way that you can access it from here inside, or you'll be able to access it from the outside. The one thing I didn't like about my van that I had is that, I mean, I liked my van, but then I didn't like my van. It was a 7.3 Power Stroke as well. It was just a regular E350 cargo van, and I had taken high top off of another ambulance, just a standard van ambulance. I took the high top off of it and put over on my E350 Power Stroke van. I ended up having a lot of weight in it. I had 3/4 inch car siding on the walls, and then I had 3/4 inch built plywood seat base for the seats. I had the seats, they ran down the side kind of like these cabinets, and it turned into a California king size bed. That part I loved. The part I didn't is I had my Snowmaster fridge like here where this cabinet is. And so therefore, if you wanted to get in the fridge from outside, you had to climb all the way up in it to get to the fridge. And the fridge was on a slide. You had to pull it out in order to access it. What I want to do here is put the fridge in and have the first shelf to where you can open the fridge and access it without actually having to slide it out in the walkway. And then some of this over here, I'd like to keep part of that. I may end up keeping all of it. I might make a Murphy bed that will just fold up against this wall bad part is, to be able to get in the cabinets, you'll have to fold the bed down. I say it's still a thought process of exactly how I'm going to do it. I saw one the other day here on YouTube that I really liked. I don't remember what the name of the YouTube video was or the builder. It was a dually model, and they had fully gutted it and kind of started over from fresh. But it had a Murphy bed on this side, and I really like that. I would like to keep some of this cabinet or some of the slides and build a new cabinet to go over there and to be able to have some storage. That's one thing that is hard to come by is storage in a van build, or even just in a regular overland build. If you're building out a truck, an SUV, you don't have much place for storage. And I used to overland or camp, whatever you want to call it, out of a Jeep Cherokee, an XJ Cherokee. And at that time, it was only me going. My wife at the time, she didn't go with me, which we had different work schedules. But that poor little Jeep Cherokee, if anybody was to have went with me, I would have almost had to store stuff on the roof. I had it piled full of stuff. And the vans, a couple years ago, my big blue van I had, the one I had done the camper conversion on, my little boy was about 3 months old, and we had the whole entire van just piled full. I think I'd even put some stuff up on the roof rack. I know when we went to Biloxi, Mississippi, and then I'd put something up on the roof rack, and we had it piled plumb full then too. So that's something I got to try to figure out before I really get involved in this build, is my storage. A lot of the ambulances or the dualies, the E450s, this is the E350, the E450s, the dualies, they have more external storage cabinets, which is good and bad. Whenever you're fully gutting it to do a camper conversion on it, a lot of the times you'll have to cut out the portions of the cabinets to get the inside to how it will work for you, because those cabinets, they come to the inside. So one nice thing about this, the only really cabinets, is this one behind me where all the electronics is, which I'm going to put a sink right here somewhere. Really don't need a sink, because most all our cooking and everything we do is going to be outside. I'm not going to put a stove in here. I'll put some kind of awning on the outside of it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but like the model would be like a F65, I think, maybe 70. I'd have to look and see what the links are. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce the name. They're really good awning. Might even do something like a Dometic. If it wasn't for the lights on the side of the ambulance, I would almost put like a Howling Moon 180, I think it is, awning that would go down. It would stretch down the side, and then it would also wrap around the back. Those work great on like your SUV builds or your truck builds, where you have a roof rack you're mounting to. On this, I'll probably do more of a kind of a camper style awning, that just pulls out. With the four-wheel drive conversion, they'll be under it. This thing will end up being, I don't know, 6 inches to a foot taller, just because of the tire height plus whatever lift I end up going with. I'd like to go with I'd like to do an actual U-joint kit, but I've got a 1-ton Ford parts truck that I'm going to try to pull all the front suspension out of that truck to put in here, just to save some money. The U-joint kits are pretty expensive. Like I said, I'd like to go that route, but they are pretty expensive. I'm going to use the front axle out of the Ford truck. I'm going to try to use the hangers and stuff, which I do have some fabricating skills. So whatever won't work from the 1-ton, I'll try to fabricate something to make it work. This back here in the back, however I build it out, there'll be different seating arrangement, but I'm fixing to have my 3rd kid, and so therefore I'll have to have seating back here for at least 3. Be seating for 2 up front, and like I say, seating back here for at least 3. Currently they're seating back here for 4 with this seat I'm sitting, but I'm going to be taking it out. I want it to where the wife and kids or whoever's back here will be able to see through here and have this opened up behind me to where they'll be able to see going down the road. I do want to put behind where these seats are, I've got some big windows I took out of some campers, motorhomes. I want to put a window right here on the side somewhere. I'd like to put one on both sides, but if I leave these cabinets, I won't be able to put a window on this side. I would really like to have a window on both sides. That way, if we're traveling somewhere, and say if we're out in Colorado in the mountains, they would be able to look out to see the sights that are out there. That's one thing that I really enjoyed when I was 16, back in 2003. Me and my family, we took a big van and went out through Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, all the way out to Vegas and back. It was really awesome to be able to look out the side windows and be able to see what was going on, which is kind of the bad part about the way this is currently. I may end up coming up with somehow to put a window behind where like the sink would be right here. I would just have to essentially open that up and put a window in that door, kind of like that, to where they'd be able to see out. And that was one problem with the big blue van I had, is I had 2 little bitty small windows, a little bit smaller than that one, back here in the sides, kind of right in here. And so when we was going somewhere, they couldn't really see out. There was windows in the back doors, kind of like that, but otherwise the only way they could look out was straight through the front. And so that's kind of one reason I sold it too. And with it being just a regular van, you couldn't mount very big windows in it unless you spent a lot of money for the contoured windows. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to hopefully try to get started on working on that front cabinet today. My little boy's in there asleep right now. My wife's in a volleyball game. This is an old 7.3 diesel. It's a non-turbo version. Kind of wish it had the turbo. Kind of worried about it not having a turbo. As far as wanting to go out to the mountains, we got pretty good hills around here. I'll find out in mid-October down in Arkansas. Basically, we're in the Ozark Hills here. Down in Arkansas, over into like Branson, you get in the Ozark Mountains. So we'll all be going to the rendezvous in the Ozarks. It's down in, I think they call it the Boston Mountains. We'll figure out how it does down there, which and the elevation isn't high like out in Colorado. My kind of worries about out in Colorado is just the higher elevations, the air being thinner, and the old diesel not having a turbo. But when we get to running out there more, then you may just have to slap a turbo on it and go from there. But anyways, until next time, guys, have a good one.